You know what? I'll be the first to admit. I am a total freaking loser, and you want to know why? It's because I saw Avatar 2 in theaters. Yeah, that's right, I saw it the day it came out. And you know what my opinions on the film are? It's strictly mid. I have no things to say about it besides the graphics are pretty darn good, and I think James Cameron is always a pretty safe director choice. That being said, another film that came out around the same time, I'm ashamed to admit I only saw yesterday, time of recording. And let me say, this movie is fucking fantastic. This is probably my favorite animated film of 2022. Granted, I haven't seen the movie about, like, Apollo 16 or something that I was told was very good. That being said, it was kind of a super stinker for animated movies this year, especially when you consider Disney with movies like Turning Red and Strange World that I didn't particularly enjoy. I didn't think anything negatively of them, I just thought they were boring. This movie goes so hard in the graphics, in the story, in the villains. Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna gush about it for a little while now. See, DreamWorks is, famous for films like Megamind, Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, Captain Underpants, fucking Shark Tales. And the thing is, the first three I mentioned are not bad. The first three are not bad films. The last two I only added in because I think they're funny and bad. The only thing I have against the first three films I mentioned is they're kind of boring. They have pretty predictable tropes. There's nothing interesting visually going on. Like, at the time, of course, this was pretty groundbreaking technology, but it's like rewatching The Phantom Menace, a film I have a very, very deep affinity for. I can't deny the CGI in that film is, like, sad. It's like a modern-day Marvel film, You see, this film made me feel all types of new emotions I've never experienced from a Disney film. In this case, it's fear. And it's thanks in no small part to the villain of this story, Death. Literal freaking Death. He has a fun little introduction that I thought about memorizing so I could quote it here, but no, that's not gonna happen. I don't have what we call in the business an attention span. Before we talk about Death, which I'm gonna do, don't you worry, we're gonna talk about Puss in Boots, his character arc throughout the story. All right, so he's on his last life, okay. This guy is a loser. He spent 8 of his 9 lives being a dickhead, and now he's on his last life. And his whole story is to learn not to be a dickhead. He and his friends are gonna go to the center of a magical forest and get a wishing star so that he can get his lives back, or at least that's how it seems things are gonna go. See, the whole time he's going there, he's followed by Death, the greatest story villain ever. And it's not good. He's really freaking Puss out. He's been giving him anxiety attacks. And it seems like the more anxiety attacks he's getting, the more he tries to obtain these extra 8 lives so that he can avoid death. Because eventually he finds out that Death, the wolf who's been chasing him, is Death. So once he finds that out, he wants those lives back. He wants Death out of his life, and for good reason. Death is extremely menacing throughout this film. But it turns out those 9 extra lives are driven from greed, and he wants them all to himself. So at the very end, there's a really touching moment where they get rid of all the wishing stars. No one gets a wish, which I actually didn't see coming, considering it was a DreamWorks film. They always have a way to make things work out in the end. Let's talk about this bitch. Let's talk about the greatest movie villain I can recall. So, this is Death, all right? He has 2 sickles. He does dual wielding on the sickles, okay? In this scene here, it's in the final fight between him and Puss in Boots. This is where Puss in Boots has to prove to himself that he doesn't need these extra 8 lives. See, instead of having some lengthy dialogue like, "Oh my gosh, it's so selfish to want these extra lives," they show it in a fight. They show that Puss in Boots is willing to fight off death instead of embracing it in a weird way by getting these extra 8 lives back. And instead of living in fear, he's going to embrace the fear. Now, let's talk about these sickles he's holding. These are the coolest weapons I've seen in a film. They can fold in so that they're like brass knuckles, but bladed. Also, you stick the 2 of them together. It's like a bow staff, but on the end there's sickles. When that happened at the very end of the movie, I think everyone in the audience collectively cummed. It was insane, or I guess came. Shit, do I know grammar? Yeah, everyone in the audience collectively came. It was insane. Like, the graphics in this movie goes extremely hard as well. Also, we just have to talk about his little whistle. Every time he's implied to be near or is anywhere around, they play this absolute banger of a tune that I'm going to play for everybody now. Alright, I have a smooth brain, so I'm sorry if that didn't overlay properly. I'm not going to edit it out if it doesn't, because I want you all to go listen to it for yourself if you haven't seen the movie. There's also an hour-long version, or I think it's like an hour and 53 seconds on YouTube. And the comment section is just like a bunch of people. It's just a chill place, you know. It's a fun video. Me and my friends were scrolling through the comment section at 4 in the morning last night. Pretty fun. At the very end, there was a line that really stuck with me. See, I do Spanish in my school, so that I can, you know, graduate high school. And at the very end, he says a line. It's like something. And he says it all in Spanish. At the very end, the only part I caught was, "This is what I get for playing with my food." He realizes in his own hubris, he's the reason that this literal pussy. Get it? Because it means two things in this situation. That's what we in the business call a double entendre. This literal pussy, him tormenting the cat, or Puss in Boots, is the reason Puss in Boots overcame his fear. If Death wasn't tormenting him this whole time, you know, he probably would have gone to get his lives back in the first place. However, the only reason he didn't is because he was thrown into a breaking point where his friends were there. His friends were getting him out of the breaking point. And yeah, it was a crazy film, dude. I'm tired. Like I said, I was up at 4 in the morning last night, and I don't really have many wise words of wisdom to bestow upon you all. After Puss in Boots defeats Death, or at the very least defeats him for now, you know, there's like the classic "We'll meet again, bitch" at the very end. This is Big Jack. He was a side villain throughout the whole movie, or I guess like the third side villain. There's like 3 villains. None of them are even as close as Death. This is the fight where Puss gets to demonstrate everything in the film that he's learned. Everything he's accomplished and learned throughout the film is demonstrated here, as well as everyone else. Goldilocks and the 3 little bears, who we haven't touched on, are here, and they're demonstrating their character arc. His friend, Spanish name for dog I'm forgetting, is here, and he gets to show the one thing he learned in the film, and that's how to do puppy dog eyes, or in this case, kitty cat eyes. And it's a lit fight, you know. It goes nowhere near as hard as the fight with Death right prior to this, but still, it was insane. And I'm telling you, every time the frame rate in this movie drops, you know shit's about to get insane. See, they pull a Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, and they have it so during fight scenes, the frame rate is a little lower. That way, certain visual aspects get burned into your retina. And oh my gosh, let me tell you, at the very beginning, there was an insane fight scene. There was a church bell and a giant. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It was a great way to open up the film. I'm telling you, if you don't like movies for story, and you only want to see it for comedy, I will say this movie's not all that funny, but that's not really what I watched it for. If you only watch movies for comedy, or, you know, just to turn off your brain and watch some fun stuff on screen, at least do it just to see how fantastic these visuals are. I'm telling you, they're so good. Whew. Anyways, that's all for now. My smooth brain needs to go back to sleep. I haven't gotten much of it. I say I'm going back to sleep, but that's probably just an excuse for me to cut it short. I have, like, more talking points I set up, but I don't want to go over them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you'll drop a like and subscribe. I actually don't think I say that at the end of too many of my videos. So that's how you know it's important. All right, you should do that. And please, I'm begging you, this movie I'm not gonna say is underrated because it's fairly popular, but I'm just not seeing enough praise for it. I'm simply not. Okay, so I would just love if y'all went out to see it if you haven't. Please, I'm begging you. This film is so good. Anyways, that's about it. See ya.